Many information technology researchers and practitioners have published articles, books, and websites that offer guidance in user interface design. Many of these guidelines are accepted best practices, having been around for decades. However, the proliferation of new applications, a variety of computing devices, and innovative ways to communicate has required new approaches and principles for user interface design. This discussion provides explanations of some of the most important universal guidelines. It is organized into 6 major categories: human interface objects, consistency, discoverability, closure, readability and navigation, and usability and efficiency. So the first principle of user interface design is the human interface objects. So these are the objects that appear on the screen that the user can manipulate. Included are such things as documents, buttons, menus, folders, and icons. The following sections discuss several important principles that apply to the design and utility of human interface objects. So the use of HIOs, or human interface objects, is very common in almost all of today's applications. The most common ones we are familiar with are buttons or other small icons. In new version of the Microsoft Office suite, the ribbon of icons at the top of the page are a good example of the use of HIOs, whose appearance reflects their function. The technical term for this characteristic is affordance. Affordance means that the appearance of a specific control suggests its function. That is, the purpose for which the control is used. For example, a control that looks like a steering wheel suggests that it is used for turning. Affordance can also be achieved by a user interface control that the user is familiar with another context. For example, the media player control icons shown in this figure were first widely used in audio tape and videotape players and are still used in such devices as DVD and portable music players. They are widely incorporated into computer interfaces because so many users are familiar with them. Notice that in the figure, a tooltip is provided. Tooltips are brief instructions that appear when the mouse hovers over a particular tool. A second characteristic is that HIOs should provide immediate feedback when activated or receiving focus. Visibility means that a control is visible so users know it is available. It also means that the control provides immediate feedback to indicate that it is responding. Feedback is some visual or audio response by the user in response to some user action. So in this figure, this is also an example of visibility and feedback. The controls are always visible at the bottom of the window and show immediate feedback on mouse over or mouse click. Another example of visibility and feedback is with a group of radio buttons and checkboxes. A group of radio buttons is a control that allows one item to be selected out of the group. A group of checkboxes is a control that allows none or many items to be selected. As a radio button is selected, not only does it change its color, but the image also immediately changes. An effective HIOs performs some visible action when the mouse hovers over it. It performs some other visible action when it is clicked or double-clicked. Feedback provides the user with a sense of confirmation and the feeling that the system is responsive and functioning correctly. Lack of feedback leaves the user wondering whether a command or input was recognized or whether the system is malfunctioning. Visibility and affordance are relatively easy to achieve when the design target is commonly used platforms such as an iPad, a cell phone running the Android operating system, or a PC running Windows. Such platforms have well-defined user interface design guidelines and a library of user interface features and functions that can be reused by application software. Web user interface design is less standardized. In some cases, a new icon is used and it is just expected that the user will become familiar with it. Often, these icons are only recognized because of trial and error. Two examples come to mind. The small gear icon has been used to represent settings or options. Another icon, the three small bars, is also used. The attempt is to look like a drop-down menu. But it took users a long while to recognize it as a metaphor for settings. Another difficult example is the matrix of small squares to represent applications. This is found on the Google account page. Many users still don't recognize its purpose.